So I am not one of the finalists on The Bachelorette. And if you came here expecting to see him, I don't mind if you get up and leave. I must say that I'm actually stunned that so many people even pitched, given the fact that you could be hearing inbound secrets from The Bachelorette right now. I have to say that I think, as they say, karma is a bitch. Laura, Pistachio chased me like no one has ever chased anyone. Eventually, she sent an email, I think in bold caps, saying, "Are you doing this or not?" And I was like, yes, I was always doing this, but I'm famously bad at getting back via email. So I apologize to Pistachio for giving her such a tough time. And thank you for putting me up against Brooks Forrester. So, as I said, karma's a bitch. It is a pleasure to talk to you guys today. The presentation is called Madison and Mountain View, The Rise of Innovation. My contact details are already up there if you want to get hold of me afterwards. And the hashtag for today's presentation is hashtag. And I always put that in there because when I talk to a room filled with marketers, they don't know what the hell they're doing with respect to hashtags. So I figure we may as well botch it up and just kind of do it together. Let's make hashtag a trending topic on Twitter. Why not? So what are my credentials? My credentials are that I've written several books. I've written 4. In fact, I'll talk about the 4th in a moment. In 2004, I wrote a book called Life After the 30-Second Spot. Then in 2007, I wrote a book called Join the Conversation. A lot of people told me that I should have trademarked the phrase, join the conversation, which I thought would have been completely hypocritical, but also proves that I'm a really bad businessman because every time Anderson Cooper says join the conversation, I go, damn you, Cooper. Set it free. If it comes back to you, it was meant to be yours. And then I wrote a book called Flip the Funnel, which I would probably say is probably the closest that I think I will ever come, and maybe we will ever come, to the silver bullet of marketing, which is this idea that retention is the new acquisition, that customer service and customer experience is the key strategic differentiator. It is even a bigger idea than the one I'm going to present to you today, which is okay because the one I'm presenting to today I think is pretty big as well. A lot of people come up to me and they always ask me this question, Joe, what's the next big thing? How many times has that phrase been used at this conference? A few times? It's like kind of a bullshit bingo meets a drinking game. The latest drinking game, I think, is real-time marketing. I was actually asked about real-time marketing. What do I think of real-time marketing? And I said, pardon my French, but real-time marketing is completely bullshit. I said, here's the thing, marketers, just move quicker. You guys move, it takes you 9 to 12 months to do anything. So just move quicker. Just go from 9 months to 8 months. You don't have to be there for the next blackout at the next Super Bowl because it's not going to happen. And if it does, as the old saying goes, once is witty, twice is shitty. Which is why my fourth book is called Zero. Zero paid media as the new marketing model. That in a perfect world, I mean, isn't this the point of inbound, right? In a perfect world, you wouldn't have to spend a dime on paid media because you would have enough customers, enough advocates, enough fans, enough assets, enough partnerships with enough entrepreneurs. And so that book hopefully will be out in October or November. In many respects, I think sometimes we have to take a step back to move a step forward. So there is, what's the next big thing, Joe? My response normally to that is, there is no next big thing, you moron. The next big thing is now. We have never had so many ways to contact, to connect, to collaborate, to hug our customers, and more importantly, for them to hug us back, or hit us back, or throw us back, or whatever the case may be. Why are we worried about the next big thing? Why are we worried about Google Glass? Why are we worried about Snapchat? Why are we worried about Vine, in a sense? I mean, we have to worry about it. But boy, oh boy, we haven't figured out how to do digital properly, let alone social, let alone mobile. So remember this thing called blogging? And by the way, I'm a big hypocrite because I started blogging in 2005. I took my foot off the gas. My blog is called Jaffe Juice, and it may as well be called Jaffe Juiceless, Jaffe Toothless, because I've lost my juice. I once said, if you want the long tail of marketing to wag, you have to feed the head with fresh meat constantly. So remember blogging? 2007, when Join the Conversation came out, I saw a study And you know what percentage of Fortune 500 companies were actually blogging with their customers, actually cared enough about their customers to have a direct one-to-one conversation with them? 15%. I did the math. I had an app for that because I can't add anymore. None of us can. 73. 73 of Fortune 500 companies thought it was important enough to actually have a real conversation. Well, here's the good news. In 2011, they did the study again. And that 15% rose to a meteoric 23%. So now between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 of the world's most loved, valuable brands think it's important enough to have a direct relationship. And I'm not talking about Twitter, right? Twitter is like candy. It's brain candy. If you have too much, it rots your teeth or rots your brain. I'm talking about a meaningful, long-form, text-based conversation. But what I want to talk to you today about is innovation. And by the way, we can be innovative with a bus shelter. A planner once said to me a long time ago, he said, what is more interactive, a coloring-in sheet on a McDonald's tray table or a web banner at the time? This is 2000. And the reality is interactivity, engagement, intimacy, technology, innovation, it is a state of mind. And you truly can be innovative with anything. But what I'm talking about is innovation defined as doing things differently to get a real result. Which, of course, if you think about it, remember Einstein's comment? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But the actual definition of innovation says this is the antidote to insanity. Doing things that have never been done before, original, creative, disruptive, transformative. But I'm not talking about innovation that most corporate marketers think of. They think of, let's, white's whiter, bright's brighter. How can we engineer a better bleach or better detergent? I'm not talking about R&D. I'm talking about marketing innovation, consumer engagement innovation, customer service innovation. How can we truly use the power of technology to do things differently and change the game? So my vision is to build a bridge between Madison Avenue and Mountain View, between brands and startups, between big companies like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, et cetera, and Silicon Valley. How? Well, you've got to ask the question, what if? What if we could do it? How would we do it? And I think the way to think about how to build this bridge or where to build the bridge is to understand the startup world and understand the world of brands. So the problem with the startup world is that it actually is a three-pronged success story. But we don't talk about the third leg, which I'll reveal in a moment. We talk about geeks and designers and developers and programmers and hackathons and all these people living on the other side of the US. And we think about money, VCs, venture capitalists, vulture capitalists, angels, friends and family, seed. It is a money conversation and a technology conversation, but nobody talks about the third leg, and the third leg is marketing. Now, here's the problem with startup founders and startups in general and entrepreneurs. They're all delusional. They're all complete masochists. I'm one of them. They all believe that their startup will get big fast because everyone will share them with their friends and family through Twitter and Facebook. Just like that, right? Like me, like me, like me. And then they'll monetize through brands in the form of interruptive, intrusive, old school advertising. Ain't gonna happen. The problem with startups is that they don't have marketing people on staff. They're listening to the vulture capitalists. And if only they could be connected to the brands that they hope to serve one day in the future. What if? What could happen? What would happen and what could have happened if Kodak had acquired Instagram? That is, to me, my moment of epiphany. When I said, what if we could connect early stage startups with big brands really, really upstream in the process? What if Mint was created for Intuit? Well, guess what? Intuit bought Mint for $170 million. But what if it had cost them $17 million? What if Kodak had acquired Instagram for $10 million, $50 million, $100 million? Might they have survived? And if the answer is possibly, why wouldn't we do this? Why wouldn't we think about new, interesting, innovative ways to connect these startups with these brands? We often say, you know, there's that old saying in the movie Wall Street, the bulls and the bears make money and the pigs get slaughtered. So if you want to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, this is not for you. But we often think about, for every Facebook or every Instagram, there are 10,000 Instagram wannabes. And we'd often say, you know, you're not going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg, but you would be perfect for insert brand here, Nike, whatever the case may be. So that's the vision behind Evolution, my company, that connects early stage startups with big brands. And you know, a lot of people, they write books to shill a company. I create companies to shill a vision. This is a vision that is not just my vision, it's our vision. It's our time right now, because every single one of us is a maker, is a creator, is an entrepreneur, and has the ability to realize their dreams through the power of startups and the power of technology. I think it begins by asking this question, and we always ask entrepreneurs this question: what's your inefficiency? What problem are you solving? You must be solving a problem. Or maybe you don't need to solve a problem, but you can take something good and make it better. That's okay too. And in even more rare, exceptional circumstances, you can turn the entire business model on its head. So Julian earlier spoke about Airbnb, or I'll talk about Uber in a moment. For Uber, I can absolutely talk about an inefficiency. For Uber, it was the fact that in New York City, if any of you have ever tried to get a cab, whenever you need one, there isn't a cab around, and whenever you don't need one, as you may have seen in New York City yesterday, cabs are literally mowing people down in the street. We can fix that. We can connect suppliers with buyers with sellers, or sellers with buyers. We can correct an inefficiency and make a complete, efficient marketplace, a frictionless marketplace. And I love all these stories. Hey, I was walking down the streets of Brooklyn, and I saw some guy peddling some really cool furniture, and then it started to rain and his furniture got ruined. And then I was walking down another street corner, and I saw a great piece of furniture, and 3 blocks down, somebody else was looking for that piece of furniture, but they couldn't find it. So I started Etsy, and everybody in the audience goes, yay, what a great story, millions and millions of dollars. You're all clapping, but you're saying, I hate you. That should have been me, right? Or what about Dropbox? I listened to the founder of Dropbox. I got on the, the Fanghua bus from Boston to New York, and realized that I didn't have my USB stick with me. And I said, crap, the 5.5-hour bus ride from hell is about to start, and I don't have my work with me. So I started Dropbox, and everybody goes, yay, drop dead, you know. So, you know, and there are more and more stories like that all the time, like Uber, etc. So I looked at this and I said, wait a second, why can't brands ask the same questions as startups? And the answer is they do. They call it a creative brief. But unfortunately, the problem, declining market share, people don't like us anymore. You know, putting lipstick on a pig is getting old. We're having problems and challenges, and what does the agency come back to them with? Campaigns and ads. So brands ask the same questions as startups. So why don't they end up with a startup? The second question, of course, is why can't startups help them? And the answer, of course, is they can. So you don't need to recreate the wheel here. If a brand has a problem and a startup can solve that problem, why wouldn't we make that connection? Why wouldn't we build a bridge between Madison Avenue and Mountain View? Walt Disney once said, if you can dream it, you can do it. And I actually believe, maybe, you know, to a hammer, everything is a nail, but I believe that technology, this is kind of a controversial statement, but I believe technology can solve any business problem. I believe no matter what the problem, no matter how big, technology can solve it. And not just technology, but collaboration with startups. And not just collaboration with startups, with early stage startups. And I even believe if the startup doesn't exist, you can create it from scratch. But right now, to me, it is a blank canvas, and everybody should be playing at the same table. Let me give you a couple of examples just to kind of bring this to life. So how many of you have heard of Fiddle Squat? So for those of you, for the woman in the audience, I am not a woman, like I wasn't a contestant on The Bachelorette. But what I've been told is when the toilet is clean, you sit and when it is dirty, you squat. Hence, sit or squat. It is a public restroom finder. It's not pretty, but it is what it is. A public restroom finder using your mobile phone that allows you to find the nearest, cleanest, available, accessible toilet. And guess what? Charmin acquired them. That's what I'm talking about. That is the quintessential example of how to bring this vision to life. I once wrote a blog post about this, and I said, excuse my French again, but who gives a crap about toilet paper? It's a very simple conversation. 1-ply or 2-ply? Discuss. Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss. Right? It's as simple as that. What are you going to do? Create a Super Bowl commercial? They did that. Is that going to convince you to rush out and get the 2-ply because it's so soft that everybody wants to rub their face against somebody's tush? I don't know so much. But what if utility, service, experience, what if Charmin could bring you? What if your child who's just potty trained says, Daddy, I need to go pee-pee? And you can use this to say, I know where the nearest available, accessible, cleanest public restroom is. That is the next generation of service and experiential-based marketing using the power of technology and innovation. And why stop there? If you're P&G and you've got Pampers and you've got Always, why just stop, toilet paper? Why not completely embrace, children, families, feminine hygiene, et cetera, et cetera? Right now, my challenge to P&G is get behind this. Advertise the crap out of this. Excuse me, that actually wasn't intentional, believe it or not. But this is the stuff that you want to put on your packaging and really get behind. Here's another example. Nike's Fuel Band. Now, when I went to South by Southwest 2 years ago, I walked into this installation, this incredible experiential installation in Austin. And I got sized, and I went and bought my Fuel Band, and I left, and only did I realize in the street with my Fuel Band on that I actually did not even check the price of the Fuel Band. It's the first time I've ever bought a piece of technology. I didn't care. I had no idea how much it was. That's the power of innovation when these guys created the Fuel Band. I'm a convict. I don't know if you guys know that about me. I'm literally a convict. I live in Westport, Connecticut, and like my fellow town neighbor, Martha Stewart, who is also a convict, we both wear bracelets. She wore a bracelet around her ankle, and I wear this bracelet around my wrist. How powerful is this? Do you guys wear any brand in the world, besides maybe a Fuel Band or a Fitbit or whatever the case may be? No, you don't. Maybe your mobile phone, maybe your glasses, your Prada glasses, or etc. But in terms of every one of us walking around and being able to say, here's a free ad for Nike, it's powerful. It's so powerful that in many respects, you could even argue that Nike has reinvented itself. Nike is not a shoe company for professional athletes. It is a lifestyle company. It is an active lifestyle company for anyone. Man, woman, old, young, fat, thin, etc. It is a technology company, just like Apple, you could argue, or Zappos, is a service company. Innovation and building a bridge between Madison Avenue and Mountain View has the potential to reinvent a company, revive a company, invigorate a company, and even transform a company. So I want to leave you with a quote from Peter Drucker. He wasn't talking about technology, but he may as well have been. He said to defend the past is a much greater risk than creating the future. Earlier I was sitting in and I heard Julian talking again about this idea of taking risks and being prepared to fail and failing fast. We all hear about it, but what are we doing about it? This is the time, as I said, for us to act. It's the time for us to just open our eyes and realize that there are thousands and tens of thousands of startups and founders and entrepreneurs. And here's the interesting thing. Oftentimes, they're actually operating inside our company. Our company's version of an entrepreneur is an intrapreneur. How many times are we getting these incredible suggestions from our employees and suggestions from our customers? Isn't it time now for us to be able to act on it? So I don't know whether this vision is bigger or not than this idea of retention as the new acquisition, or customer service, or custom experience. It doesn't really matter whether it's bigger or smaller. What matters is that we do something about it. My Media Post column that I write every 2 weeks, that comes out tomorrow, is actually called the opportunity cost of inertia. What is the opportunity cost of doing nothing? So I gave a challenge to a bunch of senior marketers. I gave them a presentation in July, and I said to them, I want you to fast forward to December 31st, 2013. And I want to challenge you to do one thing, just one thing, one silly little obscure pilot program or experiment. Just move a little quicker. Just do one thing for me. I want you to call me on December 31st and tell me what you did. And don't you dare call me and tell me you did nothing. Don't you dare. And by the way, if you don't call me, I will hunt you down like the dog you are. I know where you live. I have your Twitter account, your Facebook profile, your Instagram, your LinkedIn profiles, because you love to overshare with stupid hashtags. And I will come find you. So I want to offer that challenge as well. Every single one of us, we have an opportunity to do even just one thing differently, and think about how we can work with and partner with and embrace and hug those entrepreneurs, because they are not the next big thing. They always were the big thing. The backbone of our beautiful country and society and economy comes from the entrepreneurial spirit. And now with the power of technology, we have an opportunity more than ever before to bring that to life and change the game and change the world. Thank you very much.